Hey adventurers, hey Paxians, welcome back to another video. I'm Phoenix, and today I'm going to be talking about verse 3 content, where we're at with Pax Dei, and what we can kind of expect here in the future, maybe. We'll see how far we get. Anyways, verse 3 content came out on June 11th. So Mainframe just launched verse 3 content, the Path of the Adventurer content, just a couple of weeks ago now, and since that point in time we have had several additional hotfixes slash patches to fix a lot of some of the immediate bugs or issues, and frankly introduce a little bit of quality of life changes as well. And I resisted making a video right off the bat after we got verse 3 content because I just wanted to kind of see, I just wanted to let the dust settle basically. With all of these little hot fixes that we were told we were getting along the way. So we actually did just get another one this morning, but I felt like, okay, we're moving out of the initial like, hey, there's a bunch of stuff broken, let's fix it time frame into more of the regular cadence. So it feels like a good time to actually jump in and make a video. So if you didn't watch my last video, I talked about what some of the changes we can expect to see going into verse 3. And really there were three significant changes, that being the world, some of the maps were changing, the geography is changing a little bit, gates were moving, plots being wiped because of the changes, and then we saw gear and weapons being changed, and that really solidifying and moving closer to the Holy Trinity DPS tank heals aspect of the game. And then, of course, we saw quite a bit of change to the crafting system. And again, subsequently, after the initial verse 3 content dropped, we saw several hot fixes along the way to address certain quality of life things or bugs and things of that nature. So where are we at now? Folks are starting to get settled. We got some new building pieces, the limestone pieces. And it's really nice to see more variety in the home valleys. That's one of the things that I wish. I think the building system in general is just really well built. It's one of the strongest systems in the game currently. But variety is one of those things that still needs to be there. And I felt like leading up to verse 3, there just wasn't a lot of variety out there. I myself personally just use like the wood huts because everyone else is using the cottage stuff. So it's nice to have an extra set of building pieces to add to the variety and artisticness of people's creativity. So verse 3, a lot of folks are getting out there. They're running dungeons again. They're getting their bases built, their headquarters built, their castles built. Of course, you got the windy stairs going up. So folks are getting in and digging into verse 3. I do want to acknowledge the fact that combat has felt significantly better now than it ever has felt to me personally. Having been in the friends and family testing for a little while, I've been playing Pax Dei roughly about 2.5 years now. And objectively speaking, it is better. Now, there again, everything has a positive and a negative spin to it. Like I just said, combat is objectively better, but combat is better because it has the ability to have these extra skills and specials and spells and whatnot. But those are accessible so early on in the game that it almost makes them not special. And I've seen some feedback from some close friends about how that just makes it feel like it's just another run-of-the-mill MMO where it's just like, okay, you unlocked some gear, now you get some, you get an ability, great, woohoo. Instead of having the more of the exploration and finding the spells and finding the special things. And obviously, personal preferences and perspectives play into that, but I definitely see that side of the coin as well. So I am just hoping that long term we will see additional spells and abilities that truly are special or unique and not just something that everybody gets in a couple hours after starting the game. And I think that's going to be the challenge that the developers have as they move forward to make it a more robust experience for players who play the game long term, not to just go for those incremental +1 to your defensive ability or whatever. That just doesn't feel good to everybody. So I think that's about it for the kind of the recap of where verse 3 is at right now. We've seen quite a bit of hot fixes. Things are going as well as I think they can, given where we're at with it. So what does that look like for us in the future? You know, what's coming next? And I think the biggest question that kind of follows that is, well, what's on the roadmap? And we do not currently have a roadmap yet of anything beyond verse 3. Now, if you do spend any time in the Discord, or if you don't and you just go look up comments by some of the developers, we do get some hints about what's coming that would effectively be called verse 4 or thereabouts. And there's going to be a lot more focus on the PvP side of the game, which basically doesn't exist right now. It's there, but basically nobody does it unless they're organized events. And so while we don't have an actual roadmap of what's coming, some of the developers have commented on things like the knights and the soldiers and the baronies and trade towns that we're still waiting to get a little bit of nugget of information on. And there's a lot of suggestive commentary out there, but there's nothing concrete that we can say this is what's coming soon. And you know, Mainframe, as usual, has been very tight-lipped about what's going to come, because they want to do that through the announcements channel and do the official stuff. So fine, whatever. So beyond that, like I said, most of the commentary that we've had is just very, very basic or rough information. There's nothing concrete we can nail down. So we don't really know time frame wise what's coming. At this point in time, at the recording of this video, Mainframe is still hoping and planning on launching to 1.0 this year. So if you're doing the math, we're halfway through the year. We just got verse 3 content, so there has to be a grind going on. You know, the gears are spinning, and Mainframe is certainly looking to either get to verse 4 content or launch content. We don't really know which one of those is coming first, or if they're the same thing. I personally think they're, you know, we'll see verse 4 and then we'll probably see a launch shortly after that. And that's scary because, like I said, we only have 6 months left of the year ish, not even 6, because we're at the end of June already. Good grief. But all that to say, there's not a whole lot of time left in this year to pump out a significant amount of content for verse 4, given the types of content that's been mentioned. On top of all of that, there are still very important things that we need to see or would really, really like to see before we get to 1.0 launch. And just, you know, pulling them off the tip of my tongue right now, permissions is one of those things that we need to see more granularity in. Markets still need to be completed. I know that Mainframe kind of launched them and they're just kind of leaving it there for right now, but markets are not complete. Buy orders, for example, having some sort of a notification system or some sort of a log. Those are just things that we need to have, to the point where I've literally built my own tracking mechanism so I can see what's being sold and how much and quantities and stuff. Like, that stuff should just be in game. Like, we should be able to access that stuff in game. Now, there's always going to be third-party tools that will expand on that, but the point is we have nothing like that in the game right now. And so for the folks like myself who do enjoy playing the markets a little bit and just seeing your numbers go up by selling stuff, that is an aspect of the game that we hope to see more polish on, especially when you have developers saying that, the stuff that's going to be in the PvP zones, that's going to be a PvP specific resource that can be taken to the market. We've got to have a better market to facilitate that. That cannot be a back burner thing. So permissions, markets, I know folks are just in general saying we want more content. And that means a wide variety of things to different people. So I'm interested if you could add more content to the game, or if the developer said, hey, what can we add to make you happy? What would that be? What does that look like for you? I know some folks are talking about better grouping and raid mechanisms, a more robust social aspect, given that this is a social sandbox MMO. I actually just briefly, I was talking to a couple of folks about how we can change the clan management, in addition to adding things like the more robust permission system. And I drew up a quick UI mockup basically of essentially taking the journal pages that we currently have. When you hit J, it brings up that full screen, but basically using something like that for the clan management. So you have a clan management tab and you have a role management tab, and you can get fine-grained with your permissions. Now, again, we don't know what's on the roadmap for the foreseeable future. We can guess based off of what's been said, but there are some really crucial aspects that we need to have and we really need to test before we get to 1.0 launch. At least that's from my perspective. So, okay, so verse 3 content has been out for a couple of weeks now. I'm also curious to know what you think about it. I know that some folks are just outright upset about where things are at right now. I saw a few folks even in game commenting about the XP changes, just completely hating it or completely feeling gutted about it. So I would just encourage you, provide that feedback to Mainframe. This game is not, it's not close to being done yet. The developers are continuing to make adjustments even during the week. They're engaging with us. They're looking for feedback. They're hearing, they're listening, they're applying the feedback that they get. So if you're on the fence about where you're sitting right now, that's okay. Provide that feedback and then just hope for the best. So anyways, at this point, I think I'm about to start rambling and I don't like doing that for my YouTube videos. So until next time, friends, adventurers, Paxians, take care. We'll see you on Discord.